So Vanguard and Warzone Season 2 Reloaded honestly has a lot of people captivated about when it's going to be releasing, the type of content that we are going to be seeing, and all kinds of things like that, and that's what I'm going to be discussing in this video. So with that being said, of course, hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Vanguard video here on the channel, and today we have some pretty exciting stuff to talk about. Now there are two things I want to mention before we get too far into this video. Firstly, at the time of making this one on March 16th, we really don't have any concrete information about the mid-season update for Season 2. And to be rather frank, there has been a lot of radio silence coming from Sledgehammer Games in regards to Season 2, as well as overall updates coming to Vanguard. So with that being said, what I did in today's video is I analyzed the dates when previous seasons had released, when the mid-season updates had released, and then kind of made a projection about when we are going to be seeing the mid-season update for Season 2. In addition to that, I analyzed the content that has been released into Season 2 so far, so that means basing that off of the roadmap, we can kind of figure out the content that we'll be releasing with the mid-season update. So with that being said, I think today's video is going to be pretty interesting as we dive into all of that. Also, I do want to mention that right now I'm just getting over a cold, so that's how come I sound a little bit weird. So if you are a first-time viewer to this channel, don't worry, I don't usually sound like this. And yeah, with that being said, if you guys go want to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it as well as subscribe. So with that all being said, let's actually dive right into it. And alright, so the first thing that we have to do to analyze when the mid-season update for Season 2 will be releasing is we have to look back at the dates that Season 1 released as well as Season 2 released, as well as how far into Season 1 that the actual mid-season update did end up going live. So with that being said, of course, as we already know, Season 2 for Call of Duty Vanguard did end up releasing on February 14th. And in addition to that, there's something that's really interesting that a lot of people forgot, and that is Season 3 of Vanguard was initially supposed to go live on March 30th. Which is only 2 weeks away from now at the time of making this video. We know this because if you look back on videos that people recorded on February 14th when they checked out the Battle Pass, you would see that the Battle Pass timer stated that there was only around 43 to 44 days left of the Season 2 Battle Pass, and of course 44 days after February 14th was March 30th. And as we saw now, about a quarter into the season, only a couple weeks after February 14th, the Battle Pass timer got delayed. So right now, adjusted, Season 3 will be releasing on April 27th, which is exactly 28 days or 4 weeks later. Of course, March 30th is the last Wednesday of March, and April 27th is the last Wednesday of April. Now, there are likely a couple reasons for this. One thing that you have to keep in mind, and that is Season 2 of Vanguard was initially supposed to go live on February 1st instead of February 14th, and having Season 2 get delayed by 2 weeks actually affects a couple different things. Firstly, it makes Season 2 2 weeks shorter. However, it also means that Season 1 was extended by 2 weeks. So that means if Sledgehammer Games kept the initial start and stop date, it would mean that Season 2 was going to be 2 weeks shorter than initially expected, as well as in addition to that, it would be 4 weeks shorter than Season 1, which would explain why Season 2 did end up getting extended, so now the actual length of Season 2 is going to be on par with Season 1. If we actually calculate the dates between the launch of Season 1 in December until the launch of Season 2, it meant that Season 1 lasted for 67 days in total. However, with the adjusted dates of Season 2 initially releasing on February 14th, running until April 27th, it will mean that Season 2 will last for 71 days, which is on par and very comparable to the length of Season 1. And just as a little thought exercise, if they didn't extend Season 2, it would mean that Season 1 lasted for 67 days, however Season 2 would only last for 44 days, a full 23 days shorter than Season 1. So with that being said, now that we know the length of Season 1 and Season 2 relative to each other, we now have to break out our calculators, remember sign law, and figure out exactly when the mid-season update for Season 2 will be releasing. Okay, not quite, you don't have to do any of that, but the principle is pretty similar. Now, I do quickly want to mention something before we talk about dates when it comes to mid-seasons. Firstly, whenever new content releases for mid-season updates, it's usually a little bit convoluted. For example, at least for this year, there's really not one definite day that new content ends up releasing, at least when we're talking about mid-season updates. For example, if we talk about the mid-season update for Season 1, the actual Warzone update would go live on Thursday. However, the Vanguard update will go live on Wednesday, and in addition to that, we got some preliminary content like a new DLC weapon for Vanguard that went live on Tuesday for whatever reason. So just keep in mind when I talk about dates for the likely release of the mid-season update for Season 2, remember it's more of a ballpark estimate that might be off by a day or two. For example, I could could say right now that the mid-season update will officially go live on April 7th. Don't worry, that's just a random date that I chose as an example, so keeping that example in mind, I say the update releases on the 7th. However, it's very likely that that update could release on either the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th, or maybe the Warzone update releases on the 7th, however the Vanguard update releases on the 6th. So yeah, just make sure to keep that in mind, I don't want to confuse anyone. And alright, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty details. We know for a fact that the Season 1 mid-season update dropped on January 12th, which is exactly 35 days after the launch of Season 1. Now if we extrapolate to that, 35 days after the launch of Season 2 would put us at March 21st. Now keeping in mind that typically new mid-season content and major updates in this game release on either Wednesday or Thursday, I would say pretty confidently that the mid-season update for Season 2 will either release on March 23rd or March 24th, 2022. And if we keep that timeline in mind, it is possible that tomorrow we might get some preliminary information about the mid-season update. However, if we're talking about concrete information, it is very likely that we are going to be getting like a roadmap or maybe a trailer releasing sometime early next week, possibly March 21st or 22nd. So yeah, that's my prediction about the release of the mid-season update for Season 2. But with that being said, now let's actually talk about the new content that we are going to be seeing with this new update. And okay, when we're talking about new content, we need to take a look at the Season 2 roadmap, which outlined all the pieces of new content that we are going to be seeing with Season 2. And if you deduce by taking out all the content that we saw with the launch of Season 2, and we look at the actual pieces of content that stay in season, we can see conclusively that for the mid-season update, we are going to be getting the new Ice Axe DLC weapon, the Gustavo Operator, as well as Arms Race, which is a ground war / combined arms mode. Now that's all fine and good, however, to be entirely honest, that content is a little bit lacking. Take for example, the mid-season update for Season 1. If we look at the actual roadmap for Season 1, there are 5 new DLC weapons: the Cooper Carbine, the Sawtooth, the Katana, the Grenko anti-tank rifle, as well as the Wellgun. Naturally, the Cooper Carbine, Sawtooth, Katana, and Grenko all released with Season 2 in December, and that left the Wellgun to be the only new DLC weapon that would end up releasing with the mid-season update for Season 1. However, if we look at the new DLC weapons for Season 2, we have the KG-M40, the Whitley, and the Ice Axe. That's 3 DLC weapons, and both the KG-M40 and the Whitley are already in the game. So that would mean that the only remaining DLC weapon for Season 2 is the Ice Axe, which is technically a melee weapon. It's not even a ranged weapon, which I find a little bit odd because if I'm not mistaken, every single mid-season update that we have seen all the way since Season 1 of Modern Warfare up until today, with the mid-season update, there's always been a new ranged DLC weapon that has released. So that's become, I find it a little bit odd that for the mid-season update for Season 2, there would be no ranged DLC weapon. And that's become, I have a theory that there's a lot of new content that will be coming to Vanguard that is not on the roadmap. And there are a couple reasons that I believe this. For example, after Season 1 released and all the new DLC weapons for Season 1 were out, there were actually some game files of certain DLC weapons that had yet to be released into the game, and one of them actually resembled the Ribba Rolls submachine gun that we saw back in Call of Duty World War II. And in addition to that, one thing they have to keep in mind, and that is unlike Season 1, so far in Season 2 we have yet to see a full-on seasonal event. For instance, similar to the Secrets of the Pacific event or the Festive Fervor event. We have not seen that here in Season 2, and typically there is a new seasonal event that releases with every single season, so just by basing off of the new content that we have yet to see in the roadmap, it would be a little bit weird if they were to release the mid-season update for Season 2 with no new ranged DLC weapon as well as no new seasonal event. And that's why I suspect there's going to be something a lot bigger happening, and we actually saw this before. If you guys remember back to Season 3 of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, during that time we didn't have that much information about the mid-season update for Season 3. And if you looked at the roadmap, it wasn't very telling, or implied that the mid-season update was going to be pretty lackluster. And then out of the blue, we received the mid-season update, which was actually the 80s Action Heroes event, which if you guys remember that particular event featured a lot of new content, which beforehand we had no clue about. So that's honestly my prediction, and we are going to be getting a lot of information in the next couple of days. So with that being said, guys, that's going to effectively wrap up today's video. I hope you guys went on to enjoy it, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on it down below, as well as subscribe and turn on post notifications so that way you guys will not miss any of the latest and greatest Call of Duty news, class ups, intel, and so much more. So thank you once again for watching. I've been your host, Deeper Jungle. I hope to see you in the next one.